The global technology war is getting worse, and chip making is without a doubt at the center of it. It is a very competitive field for countries and a key indicator of how technologically advanced a country is. China and the US, two of the world's biggest economies, are competing to make the most chips around the world. As the tech giant TSMC shifts its focus back to the Chinese market, a new trend that is hard to miss has appeared. The US media has spoken out for the first time in 3 years, saying that TSMC has finally become independent from the mainland. Why did TSMC decide to change its strategy? As the world's top maker of semiconductors, TSMC has a strong foothold in the global market, thanks to its great technology and efficient operations, which show that it is a very strong competitor. But TSMC's business in the US market seems to have run into trouble recently. People believe that TSMC has spent around $40 billion and shipped a lot of equipment to the US to set up an advanced wafer fabrication plant. But US government support hasn't been as good as hoped, and big customers like Apple have cut back on orders from TSMC. These things have made it harder for TSMC to make money in the US market. Faced with problems in the US market, TSMC started to change its business strategy and shift its attention to the mainland market. TSMC knows very well that working with the mainland market and businesses will give the company a lot of business and growth possibilities. But as TSMC moves to the mainland market, it has to deal with problems like repositioning its relationship with the mainland market and making sure it meets US standards for chip data. In a very angry tone, the US media said, "After all, they are not their own people in TSMC's journey. Its business moves in the US are like a script for a drama. TSMC is putting a big bet on the US market by spending an estimated $40 billion to build an advanced wafer manufacturing plant there. But even though TSMC spent a lot of money and time on the US market, the subsidies from the US government did not meet its goals. This caused it to lose a lot of money on its investments in the US market. A decrease in orders from Apple and other significant buyers also hurt TSMC. Because of these setbacks, TSMC had to change its approach to the US market. Faced with problems in the US market, TSMC has changed its strategy and turned its attention to the mainland market, which has a lot of business possibilities. But this change doesn't come without problems. The fact that the US wants chip data from TSMC and that the company needs to think about and change its relationship with the Chinese market are both problems for the company. There are hopes for TSMC's future in the Chinese market, but it shouldn't be forgotten that there are also risks. Statistics show that TSMC has lost more than 150 billion won, which makes it hard for the company to expand in the Chinese market. So, after TSMC opens a factory in the US, the chip manufacturing industry on the mainland must stay on its toes and keep developing its own innovation skills to stay competitive with TSMC. A lot of people are afraid that TSMC will become American TSMC. But in reality, Biden's offer to TSMC to open a factory in the US was based on more than just a wish. Biden values not only TSMC's impact in the chip industry, but also its technology and customer base. The goal of this move was to make it easier for Intel to get back to being the leader in making semiconductors. Smart people can see that TSMC has boarded a ship that doesn't know where it's going. Morris Chang's plan was that once TSMC had a factory in the US, it could fully explore foreign markets, get more customers, get more orders, and make more money. But that wasn't how things turned out. The winds of change have gone in the exact opposite direction. TSMC, which has been slowly Americanized, has not only not set any new sales records, but has also seen a big drop. TSMC just put out its performance report for June, which showed that there was a lot of working pressure. The total income for the month was 128 billion yuan, which is an 11.1% drop from the same time last year. The decline is clear. It is clear that setting up a plant in the US did not help TSMC as much as they had hoped. Instead, it hurt TSMC's reputation as a brand. During TSMC's annual meeting of shareholders, CEO C.C. Wei said that the company's stock is slowly going down and that there are signs of a turnaround in the second half of the year. But is that really how things are? I don't think it's a good idea for TSMC to build a plant in the US and leave the mainland market. On the one hand, TSMC went to the US to get subsidies from the US government for making semiconductors. On the other hand, it wanted to look into foreign markets, but as part of the deal, TSMC had to promise not to grow on the mainland for the next 10 years. In other words, TSMC can only choose between the US market and the market in mainland China. From a business point of view, it costs more to set up a plant in the US, and the prices are also higher, which may not be acceptable to all customers from other countries. Also, TSMC's plants overseas don't make as much as they could, so opening a factory in the US might not help the company get more customers. Even if TSMC builds a factory in the United States, Apple, Nvidia, Qualcomm, and other companies will still be its biggest clients. A story from Taiwan's Electronic Times says that Morris Chang has still missed a step. Since the first quarter of 2023, orders for TSMC's 7-nanometer process chips have grown by a lot. Companies like Pintouge and ZTE Microelectronics, which are based in mainland China, are the major backers. Without a doubt, mainland Chinese AI chip design companies have been a key part of TSMC's success, acting as a lifeline for TSMC's better performance reports. Taking ZTE Microelectronics as an example, its wafer input has doubled for 2 straight quarters since it entered 2023, and its orders have grown a lot in a short time. ZTE Microelectronics is now one of TSMC's top 3 customers in the mainland Chinese market. This shows that the mainland Chinese market is still very important to TSMC's income. In fact, Morris Chang has seen that things are not going well since TSMC opened a factory in the US. You can't get subsidies, and the rules for getting them are getting stricter and stricter. TSMC also planned to stop asking for subsidies from the US government for semiconductors. This means that TSMC might not give up the whole mainland Chinese market. Even so, TSMC still makes most of its money from chips that are made at 5 to 7 nanometers. So the mainland Chinese business is still very important for TSMC.